We are going to discuss about building green skills because educational challenges and opportunities for the global youth is very much on site, and how to deal with that, this is what we are going to discuss over here. So here I would like to share with you that in the morning session, as Dr. Rambuj has shared with us, that Mr. Kartike Sarabhai, he was a little ill at that time, so he couldn't join us physically. But yes, in this session, he is going to join us virtually. He is going to join us online because since the beginning of this international conference on sustainability education, he had been an integral part. So initiating this session now, let me please share with you that this session is going to be moderated by Ms. Madhavi Joshi, Senior Program Director, CEE Ahmedabad. So please put your hands together while I'll welcome her on the stage, on the dais. Ma'am, I request you to please be here on the stage with us. Welcome, ma'am. And as I told you that the founder director of CEE Ahmedabad, Mr. Kartike Sarabhai, is joining us online. And now I would like to invite on our esteemed panelist of this session, Ms. Sharizad Dhalan, Director ISTIC UNESCO Malaysia. She is here with us. I request you to please join us on the stage. Ms. Sharizad, I request you to please be here on the stage with us. May we please have a round of applause for her welcome. And also I would like to request Mr. Arpit Sharma, CEO, Skill Council for Green Jobs, MSDE, India, to please join us on the stage. I also request Dr. Suresh Gautam, HOD, Department of Development Education, Kathmandu University School of Education, Nepal, to please join us on the stage. Please join me in welcoming on the dais Dr. Bhola Ram Gurjar, Director NITTTR Chandigarh. Please put your hands together for him. I also request Dr. Subarna Sivapalan, Associate Dean, RKE, University of Nottingham, Malaysia, and Co-Chair of UNESCO Chair in International Education and Development. So we can welcome her as in she's joining us online. So may we have a round of applause for her welcome online. And we do have Dr. Presha Ram Swarup, President EESA and Director CREL, University of Witwatersrand, South Africa. She is also joining us online. Dr. Presha is also joining us online. So may we have a round of applause for their welcome, please. So since we have got 3 of our dignitaries joining us online, my technical team would be there on the toes to make it very seamless for them to join and interact with us. So now here I would like to hand over the mic to the moderator, but before that I would like to share a little brief about her because she is such a phenomenal personality. Ms. Madhavi Joshi, she is managing the CEE Academy and facilitating the South and Southeast Asia Network of Environmental Education. She has over 30 years of work experience in designing, implementing, and leading education and communication projects and campaigns related to sustainable development, involving work with several partners. She has authored papers and contributed to publications in the fields of communication and education for sustainable development. She worked in social and communications research at the Development Education and Communications Unit of the Indian Space Research Organization, Ahmedabad, for 5 years before joining CEE in 1993. Madhavi has a master's degree in social work, and today she is the Senior Program Director at CEE Ahmedabad. So ladies and gentlemen, I am handing over this mic to Ms. Madhavi Joshi. Please put your hands together for her.
Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this very important session, I would think, on building green skills, educational challenges and opportunities for the Global South. As we've been hearing since the morning, I think there's a lot of things that were said in terms of the specific issues in terms of being inclusive, specific issues in terms of who are the vulnerable to people to climate change, what are the kinds of initiatives that are required, especially in terms of when we're talking about green jobs and green skills. And we felt that there is a lot of examples that are available, there's a learning that is available from the Global South in terms of traditions, in terms of looking at innovative ways of adapting to climate change and other disasters. I think Rambuji this morning talked about Jugaad, so that's something that we can, this region really looks at ways in which you can adapt and learn and evolve. I think it's evolving is an important aspect of learning as far as the Global South goes. The way we wanted to do this session was have two input presentations, very quick inputs from Dr. Presha Ramsaru, who's based at Johannesburg in South Africa. And she works with a vocational training institute and has a very long experience in this sector. And followed by Dr. Subarna. And she is the UNESCO chair of international education and based in Malaysia. So we had requested both of them. I would like to request them to first come in and speak about perspectives of specifically how do you have inclusive approaches in green skills interventions, bringing in their own experience specifically from their institutions or any other example that they're familiar with as part of their research. I would first go to Dr. Presha Ramsaru, but before I do that, I wanted to also introduce SASEANEE to you all, the South and Southeast Asia Network of Environmental Education, SASEANEE. We are very thankful to Mobius Foundation and especially to Mr. Burman and Dr. Rambuj and the team at Mobius Foundation to provide us the core support for building this network into what it is today. And we have over 300 organizations as members as part of this network. There is a website which we are constantly upgrading and adding new resources and examples from the region, especially for young people in terms of, say, internships, job opportunities, good practices, and so on. So do look at that website. Sushmita, my colleague, she is involved with me in working on SASEANEE. So that we can definitely share the website address as well for you to join the network. I invite everyone to join the network. Okay, so now we go on to the session. And I would start with Dr. Presha Ramsaru. Presha, over to you. We'll have very short interventions, 4 minutes each. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for the invitation. So I work in a postgraduate research center at Wits University in Johannesburg, and we study education-labor market relationships. So we're the Center for Researching Education and Labor. So we do a lot of work in terms of the transition into work. We do a lot of work in terms of trying to understand how the world of work is changing and what those changes actually mean for educational preparation for work and how we start to think about educational preparation for work. So there's, across the Global South, because of course I follow this work a lot, there's been a lot of emphasis around technical jobs and the focus around technical skills that are going to be needed to support the transition. So I'm going to focus my input a little bit very quickly on, in a country with high levels of youth unemployment, why we're trying to think quite innovatively around entry-level pathways that can allow young people to access opportunities within this and what that could actually mean, and how we're trying to research this. I think that for one, A lot of the information that we're getting is at high aggregate level, high aggregate occupational levels. We need much more concrete, nuanced information about jobs. So the information that we're getting, and not only in the global south, even the projections and the forecasting in the global north, is giving us job projections that are often leaving out entry-level jobs, making it very difficult to actually track and see where young people can enter opportunities. And when we do get data around entry-level opportunities, it is presented in quite ad hoc ways without acknowledgement of pathways, of how these jobs can connect and actually create learning pathways for young people. So that's the first thing. I think that across the global south, we need to be paying more attention to where are the entry-level opportunities, not in ad hoc ways, but how are these jobs actually connected into pathways that young people can build parallel technical or parallel careers within the broader green economy, okay? And there's a couple of areas that we're trying to investigate around this. So one of the things that we're trying to see is where are the areas of risk, okay, and where are the jobs in demand. And what you're seeing is that there aren't direct matches between jobs at risk and jobs in demand. And for young people, that's extremely difficult to navigate at local level. So I'll talk about rural areas, and I know that, I was there in January in India and had conversations with colleagues. There's similar experiences. So when young people are told, these are the jobs at risk and these are the jobs at demand, without clear understandings of how you enter those jobs and how you transition, both vertically as well as horizontally in those jobs, we're not enabling them to create career paths. And that's something we need to, we actually need to pay much more attention to, especially at the entry level. I think there's a lot more clear information for engineers and technicians. And then, what are these kinds of jobs? Jobs linked to technology. There's a lot of talk around them in South Africa, like there is in India, around these jobs linked to technology. In South Africa, we're always having this argument. It seems to be that the transition is about the changing technology and what skills we're going to need to implement the technology, right? Rather than where are the opportunities in helping us to transition to a more sustainable world, which is how I think that we should be looking at it in terms of the communities that we have. And when we look at that, the important questions that's starting to emerge for me as a skills question, as a green skills question in Africa, where are the jobs that will help us create a better, more sustainable world that are not visible and viable? That are not visible and viable. Because if we go into these communities, and I'm talking about rural communities in Africa, you will see young people as well as people engaged in different forms of climate adaptive work, okay? They're involved in care work, they're involved in rehabilitation work, they're involved in cleaning up wetland rehabilitation, cleaning up rivers. They're involved in different kinds of work. That's not viable because it's paid from development aid, and it's not clearly visible in public skills systems funding. So the argument that I'd like to make is, how do we start to think about these forms of climate adaptive work as visible and viable work in our green skills landscape that will allow youth entry into the green economy, okay? So that it's beyond the kind of technical approach or technology-based approach and technology-biased approach that we're approaching it. And build it in a way that we're actually thinking about a skill formation system and not the training of individuals. I think a very limited individualist-based approach is focused on training individuals. How do we actually look at the skill system? Look at a skill formation system, the different moving parts that actually make a skill formation system and what those are. Because making that skills formation system and the parts fit together is what makes the system agile to changes that are able to respond. Excuse me. In the context of uncertainty where we are at the moment, okay? Because there's a lot of uncertainty. There's uncertainty in relation to the types of job projections that we have. There's uncertainty in related to where these jobs are, how we can attract these jobs, how we can learn these jobs, what potential they'll actually be. In South Africa, as an example, all of the projections we had around jobs in relation to renewables have not come true. Okay? Most of the jobs were created as short-term opportunities in relation to construction. So the investment in some parts, so what hasn't paid off the way we anticipated it. That's not a completely useless thing. What it helps us to learn is how do we think about the skill formation system differently? How do we think about the different layers of employment? How do we think about where the jobs are in much more nuanced ways? Sorry.
Prisha, I think we'll have to wind up. And,
okay. So I think that I'll end my point there is my argument that I'd like to make is how do we think about the jobs on multiple levels and in more nuanced ways beyond technology-biased jobs in the green economy?
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, Prisha. I think these were very important points that you have made, especially looking at entry-level opportunities and looking at, how do we start to talk about visible and viable work. I think we have lost them. Okay. Karthik, you wanted to say something just now?
Yes, Subarna is here.
Yeah. Subarna, maybe you could just make a few quick points. We are running out of time. I'm so sorry. It's the end of the day, and we would just want to make one or two quick points, and then we'll go on to the panelists as well. Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks, Sudha.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Prisha. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Madhavi ma'am. Hi, everyone. So I've got like 8 points here, but I'm going to make it very, very short and not do 8. But I think I want to come from the angle of policy, educational policy specifically. So in Malaysia, we are seeing, an upward trend in the requirements of the industry in terms of green skills, green competences and all. But within the higher education sector specifically, with the exception of maybe STEM-related programs, STEAM-related programs or arts and social science programs don't really make it a requirement for green skills or green competences to be part of the outcomes or, of graduates that graduate out of this program. So I think it's really important for us to be thinking along these lines. And in Malaysia specifically, and I think Sharizad later, who is on the panel also, may be talking about this. We have, a new upcoming higher education blueprint, which now very specifically mentions the importance of sustainability as well as planetary health as a core area that the blueprint has to look into, which also means that programs offered by universities or institutions of higher learning in Malaysia now have to adhere to this. And that's really very good news in terms of building green competences of our graduates. Additionally, we've got accreditation bodies now also emphasizing the need for education for sustainability as well as green skills, value-based education to be also embedded within accreditation programs. So if you do not comply, then accreditation will be an issue. So moving from silo initiatives within specific institutions is now becoming more strategic and more structured. So I think this is, we're going in a very positive direction moving forward. And the debate in Malaysia has been, all along, there is need for green skills, but universities, institutions of higher learning do not actually prepare graduates for what the workforce needs in terms of these competences. And these debates are going to really into late 90s, early 2000s. So Madhvi ma'am, I think I will end with this.
Thank you very much, Subarna. I think that was lovely. Thanks both Prisha and Subarna for your inputs. Please stay on in case there is any you would like to jump in later. But we are going to make this a very quick session. I would now want to go on to the panel. present here. Thank you so much, all of you, for having the patience to sit and come for this session. It's the end of the day, but I think it's going to be a good discussion. I'm really looking forward to it. I would like to introduce Ms. Sharizad Dalan. She's Director, International Science, Technology and Innovation Center for South-South Cooperation, UNESCO, Malaysia. And I think I'm going to introduce the panelists as I ask you questions. So very quickly, we'll not do 2 rounds, we'll just do 1 round and we'll end it with Kartikeya Bhai speaking. So that will be a quick one. So just quickly, can you talk about your the center and specifically focus on the the regional South-South cooperation work that is happening, especially in this area of green skills?
So thank you, Madam Moderator. So good evening, everybody. And I think I would like to thank the organizers for having us here. This is a huge task because we are at the end of the sessions, and to keep my audience alive and awake is more challenging than trying to do these green skills, I think. So, but coming back to your questions, I think not many people know who we are. So we are actually the International Science, Technology, Innovation Center for South-South Cooperation. So we are a UNESCO Category 2 center. And I always say this to people if they ask who are you and what you do. We are actually a center that is funded solely by the Ministry of Science, Malaysia. So I would say this, that we are a center that is born out of Malaysia's commitment and UNESCO's vision to South-South cooperation. So this is what Malaysia's contributions to Global South and international science. So what we do is actually we are a broker, a catalyst, a platform for this SSC. So since you asked me to be quick, so I think I need to be quick on this. So yeah, so when we talk about our activities or initiative, the most important thing is when we look into this, we look into how we're going to design an initiative that is impactful. So we have done our landscape assessment, we have done our horizon scanning, we have done our need analysis, so we know that, and we need to leverage on our partners because we are a UNESCO Category 2 center, so we work very closely with our Office for Climate Education. OCE is actually the entity or the organization that has been tasked to operationalize the JEP, the Greening Education Partnership. So our initiative that is really focused on what we call a climate change education. So we talk about climate change, we talk about all these environmental changes, but we realize that we are not going to do, there are lots of things that people have done on this climate change initiative. So, but for us, we are going to focus on climate change education. And why we are focusing on climate change education? Because we are embarking on this initiative called Greening Education for Southeast Asia. So this education is really like, this initiative is because we focus on the region that we have. Why? Because Southeast Asia region is highly volatile. So this has a huge climate risk. So you demand this population-wide adaptation literacy. So this is not just about the niche, about technical skills. It's not about, because you need to have schools where we can reach every future worker. We can reach these students early and equitably. So our initiative, the CCE, is not just, it builds on this, what you call transferable competencies. So what the green jobs require. So you need to understand the climate system, you need to understand problem solving, you need to have these pro-social actions, meaning that these are the foundations, I would say, that before the TVET specialization. So, but what we need to highlight is when we do this initiative, we are not just coming up with a new one. This particular CCE initiative is thanks to our partner because it has been implemented successfully in Latin America. We have piloted 3 countries in Latin America, which is Mexico, Colombia, and another, I can't remember, another country, and it has been done successfully in Latin America. So we have a tried and tested successful initiative. So we have all the modules and everything. So our partner is OCE is actually doing the pedagogical, how do you say that? Yeah, so they are the expert on that. So, and at the same time, we have also this initiative in Africa, which is called ARISE. It's African Regional Resilience Initiative for Climate Education. We are piloting in 3 countries, Senegal, Kenya, Mauritius. So these are the, so we thought that, so we have done for Africa, we have done this for Latin America, so we need one for Southeast Asia. So one for Southeast Asia, we have looked into it, so we are going to pilot Malaysia and Indonesia. So that is what, this is a 5-year program that to make CCE a cornerstone of regional adaptation. So we have a rollout plan, so we're going to launch it maybe next year. So the year 1 pilot, as I mentioned, will be in Malaysia and Indonesia. So the year 2, we're going to expand it to about 200 or 300 schools. And year 4 and 5, we're going to extend it to 3 additional Southeast Asia countries. So this is the model that we are adapting. So, and how this ties to the green education, to the green jobs. So because let's look at this way. Think about this. You learn, you do, you earn. So this is how we frame it. Because from curriculum to skills, you know that you need to embed CCE across the subjects, because that will normalize climate problem solving for students. So these same analytical, what you call that, habits employees need in water, waste, cooling, nature-based restoration and resilient housing. So we need, and also secondly, you need the teachers' professional development into practice. You need to translate that. So you need to train teachers to run classroom projects with communities, and you have to do that. And then we need, the last one is on the community links to demand. But I have to highlight this, and people also ask us why we're not doing environmental education, why we are doing climate change education, because in the context of today's conference, when we tell you this, environmental education will teach you, we give you analogy, will teach you on how to care for the garden. But if you do climate change education, you are really teaching people how to protect the garden. That's the analogy that we are using. And because in this context of our conference, we don't want graduates who admire the garden. We need paid climate smart gardeners who can keep it alive. So that's why we do climate change education. So because it turns love of nature into skills, credential, and job that will keep our communities thriving. And borrowing what Mr. Berman said, and most importantly, it will build young generation who will embrace and believe that development can be green. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Sharizat. I think it resonates a lot with whatever we've been discussing so far, and looking forward to continue this conversation outside of this room as well. I would now like to go on to Mr. Arpit Sharma. Arpitji was here in the earlier panel as well. So he is known, so he's CEO of the Skill Council of Green Jobs, and I think you do some very interesting work, especially with communities and workers in the sanitation sector, in the waste management sector. So very quickly, I'm going to reduce the time from 4 to 2 minutes or something. But very quickly, if you can just give an example in terms of what is it that one can learn in terms of the Global South, what are the learnings from the kind of work that you've been doing? Maybe 3 or 4 learnings if you could talk about quickly.
So thank you very much, Madhviji, as well as Mobius Foundation. I'll be very quick and crisp. I'll give 3 examples and not waste my time in introducing the other factors and other things. So one very good example is on technology. So we have been engaged in the trainings of salt pan workers in Gujarat. So 800 women from the Self-Employed Women's Association were nominated for solar trainings, and we did a capacity building program for them, and they come from a very marginalized community, hardly 8th pass or 10th pass, and struggling for their life. And after receiving this 4-month technical training, we organized a conference, and I took almost 25 industries from across the country to Gujarat to visit the training center and interact with these salt pan workers, and to your surprise, 40% of them got instant job offers. So our association with Seva has been now gotten stronger. My second example is that we are we are being supported by the Government of Australia, the Australian High Commission, and Renew Power, which is one of the largest developers in the country. They're funding us, and we are setting up a solar rooftop academy at PDEU, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Energy University, Gujarat, where we would again train close to 1,000 women from marginalized communities in the area of solar PV domain. And this announcement has been made by the Honorable Prime Minister of Australia, alongside with the Honorable Prime Minister of India, that Skill Council for Green Jobs would be the national partner. So this has been my second example. My third example is that we have done a lot of trainings. Close to 90,000 sanitation workers were trained across the country on mechanized cleaning, how to use the jetting machines, how to use the super suckers and other mechanized equipments. And we penetrated through our affiliated channel partners and training partners. We penetrated inside 500 municipal corporations across the country, and a capacity building program was, a 5-day program was done, successfully done. And my fourth example is something that I would not comment on because I promised 3. So due to paucity of time, I'll give the mic, pass on the mic to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arpitji. I think this is amazing, and there's a lot to learn from here. Actually, I think there's one just small bit I wanted to say, and these are you looking at, say, also exchanges within the region, within South Asia or in the South and Southeast Asia?
Yes, definitely.
Are there trainings that happen?
Yes, we are looking at doing international exchanges also. Just yesterday I filled in a tender proposal wherein we are proposing the government of Chile to do a skill gap study because they do not have a relevant experience on how to do a landscape analysis.
So it's a wonderful South-South collaboration that we're looking at here.
Yes, definitely. We are absolutely open
fantastic.
to that. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, so now I move on to Professor Suresh Gautam. He is Assistant Professor and Head of the Department of Development Education, Kathmandu University from Nepal. The same thing to you, sir, about your experience, especially you've talked about you've done your research in the area of circular economy, but you're also part of the university. So what are your thoughts in terms of learnings, especially in the case of, a regional cooperation and using the academics for that?
Thank you very much for your question. Usually when we speak about the cooperation, we try to seek global north plus global south rather than south-south collaboration and cooperations. So that's our mindset, how we incline to think more about the West, which indirectly dominates the worldview of the collaboration. However, there are a lot of possibilities to have South-South collaboration for dignity, for identity, and for the similar worldview. So that's how our university and our school, even our department thinks and translates into action. Nepal itself a very small country, but a beautiful. So small is beautiful is a kind of slogan that's translated into our teaching, learning, and pedagogy, which is one of the major pillar of the collaboration in terms of fostering our self and identity. So it's a small school of education. Our main focus is on preparing teachers, educators, trainers, and researchers. And our department specifically has 3 pillars. One is sustainable development, which we run master's course, Masters in Sustainable Development. Next one we have MTVET, Masters in Technical and vocational education and training. That's more related to skills. And third is indigenous education and development. It's more indigenous and local ways of thinking and doing for the development. So based on these three pillars, our activities and research mainly incline to serve the interest of community rather than the interest of educators and teachers. So we usually work with community. One of the best example that I would like to give, after the federal structure of Nepal, there are 753 local government units, and among 50 our university has a partnership to have a research and a mutual learning and collaboration within the state and nation. So there are other schools in our university too, like engineering, which works with hydrogen and other kind of things, right? School of Medical Science, so other technical schools. Our school is more committed to work with community and people. So in this line, one of the recent research we conducted in circular economy, it indicates that the circularity itself is very limited within the scope of 3R. That you can even read, it's open access article, you can read it. So how should we generate the skilled human resource actually meeting the demand of circular economy is one of the questions that emerged in the Nepali context. I would like to end here. If needed, I will come back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Suresh Gautam. I think you raised important issues, especially multidisciplinarity in terms of, working, and universities very closely connected with communities in their research, in their work. I think these are important aspects when we are talking about building, sustainable development competencies among the students, but not just the students, but also the teachers. And that's where I come to Professor Dr. Bolaram Gurjar. He is director, National Institute of Technical Teachers Training and Research, based in Chandigarh. And sir has over 33 years of professional experience in this area, in teaching and training and research and consultancy. I would like you, sir, to focus on specifically looking at what are the areas in which, say, the capacity building of teachers or teacher training, what is your institute focusing on, and a quick response to this question, sir.
Thank you. First of all, I am grateful to the organizers to give me this opportunity in this August gathering. Well, in National Institute of Technical Teachers Training and Research, as you can observe the name, we are the trainers of the teachers, or master trainers you can say. Well, when we train the teachers, the idea behind it that they will carry this capacity building to their institutes, and they will train the students, and the students will further go on in the chain reaction. Well, after new education policy, National Education Policy 2020, lot of emphasis has been given to not only skills and knowledge, but also value-based education. When we talk about values, the fundamentals has to be clear. The so-called development model, as Barmanji has also emphasized on fossil fuel-based development. This is carbon economy-based development, you can say. And that is why, this whole lot of pollution problem or conflict problem has emerged. The reason is the philosophy. Philosophy which drives this development is based on egocentric. You might have seen some pictures, egocentric, ecocentric. Ours, the South, has always concentrated on ecocentric life, or life driven with the nature. In egocentric, or you can say the Darwin's theory, which talks about conflicts, which talks about competition, unfortunately, many people missed. At that time, one other philosopher came into existence, and he was Peter Kropotkin, Russian scientist. he gave the philosophy of cooperation rather than competition. He said that all species have cooperated with each other, that's why we have survived. But this went into back burner, and the whole development model has gone to this competition and then exploitation of nature, etc. When we talk about value-based education, like ICSE has given one course on human values or universal human values related full course. You can get the credit. All students can register into that course. They can get the credit. So, to derive our education around the values, we want to make the citizens responsible towards their life as well as to the nature. And that is why people when talk about what is the Bharatiya Drishti about life, the Bharatiya Drishti is nothing but which is good for self and good for the environment. Whereas the other model which talks about only the individual growth or success, whereas we talk about goodness. There is a difference between goodness and success. We are always talking about what is the grade, how much, in IITs, I am professor in IIT Roorkee. And whenever, students come to take admission, their parents talk, what will be the package after he graduates? Means we are talking about always money. We are making our children like ATMs. We are not, asking them to grow like a full or holistic development related human being. So the values are the centric focus of our training nowadays. When we train the teachers, we ask them, please make your courses, running around the values. One good example I would like to quote here of this Padma Shri Sridhar Vembuji. He has come from USA. He's CEO of Johova Corporation, billionaire. But he walks around the fields. He rides the bicycle, and he has taken all the skill development in the villages. He says, why should youth come to the cities, which is already packed? Let's go. This is the green development. Whenever we go from urban to the rural areas, that development is around the green development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bola. It's really important, I think, the points that you made in terms of value-based education and the importance of not just students, but specifically looking at how teachers can imbibe them so that can become an example and they can also teach the students. I would like to, I don't think we can go into another session, though I have a lot of questions for each one of you. It's been an interesting interaction. Just give me a moment. I wanted to bring Kartikeya Bhai in for just 2 minutes, since he's not been able to join us in the morning and he's here. Kartikeya Bhai, would you like to just sum it up quickly for us?
Just watching this. Pradeep, I'm sorry not to be able to be there this time. The influenza virus did get to me, and my voice is still a bit husky. This has been a fascinating conference, and especially this session. I think we have to not work on predicting what the jobs are going to be, because that will be very difficult. We have to prepare people to be very flexible. And therefore, the emphasis of the new educational policy, in India at least, has been on critical thinking, system thinking, problem-solving ability, and then combine it with bursts of very specific training. I think Arpitji mentioned 3 very good examples of how you can take someone who is not trained in, say, solar, but you can take them and train them fast. So I think that model, that we should be able to run short programs, train people from one job to another, because I think today to expect people to have a job which will last their lifetime is not going to be there. The green job itself will change so rapidly. So I think the whole emphasis on what goes into the school system or into the college system, which really prepares you to be flexible and problem solving and has those competencies, and then have short-term programs which are directed to a specific task, and that task might be relevant for 2-3 years, and after that you might have to retrain for another task. But I think the point of many of the speakers of the South nature of the cooperation is very, very important. And I think wishing ICSE all the best in this whole discussion. Pradeepji, I'm sorry not to be able to there. I really wish, and Rambuj and everyone else, and thank you for this opportunity to at least be a little bit there online. Thank you.
Madam, can you allow me to give a few seconds only to two lines because of your good anchoring in English as well as Hindi, dhire dhire re mana. So I just remembered where this our efforts are going. I would say that हमको जाना है उस पार, हाँ मित्रों जाना है उस पार, हर कली जहाँ मुस्काए पंछी निर्भर होकर गाए, ऐसा होगा मुक्त विहार थके नहीं आंखें जिसे नियार, हमको जाना है उस पार. So that is our aim.
Ultimately, thank you so much, sir, and I really thank all the panelists for being over here. And I request you to please take a step forward for the photo op. And I request Dr. Poonam Minhas, the principal of GAV Athroli, to please come on the stage for the felicitation and to join us in this photo op as well. I take all this pleasure to share with you that GAV School Athroli is run by Mobius Foundation, and it's a green campus, and we can expect that to be a green campus because yes, Mobius Foundation is running it. So she is the leading lady over there, Dr. Poonam Minhas. So firstly we would have a quick photo up and then I'll request you to felicitate all of them. Yeah, we'll just capture them at that moment and then yeah. Ms. Sushma Chanda is also joining us on the stage. Thank you. Now I request Dr. Poonam Minhas to please felicitate all the panelists over here. Madam Madhvi Joshi. Let's have a round of applause for her. Ms. Sharizad Dhalan. Dr. Suresh Gautam. Dr. Bhola Ram Gurjar. Mr. Arpit Sharma, we had already felicitated him, yeah, in the earlier session. So, thank you so much, and we really thank the ones who have joined us virtually as well, Mr. Karthike Sarabhai, Dr. Subarna Sivapalan, and Dr. Presha Ram Swaroop. So we really thank you all and the esteemed panelists. Thank you so much. Let's hear it for them. Let's have a huge round of applause. Thank you so much. And I would really like to share with you all that since